When we tap into the synchronistic nature of reality, the excitement of our adventures becomes ever more rich, vibrant, and meaningful. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 111 of Paradigm Shift Radio, Stories of Synchronicity, a community discussion. Synchronicity is a means for the universe to help wake itself up by communicating back onto itself through the language of symbols and the ability to bring people together at the right place and the right time in order for them to be given the choice to make the most of an opportunity. It's something we experience every day, and as we expand our conscious awareness and willingness to let go and receive, the more we will continue to notice this ongoing dialogue between ourselves and the everything that is us beyond our physical bodies. The world is a place filled with magic, and direct experiences with synchronicity are a great way for us to see and know this firsthand. Paradigm Shift Radio is part of an ongoing saga, and with each episode we are continuing to bring more awareness into the collective conscious to help the entire whole grow simply by listening. So be excited about the fact that synchronicity is very real and that we can attract the vibrations we are putting out and aligning ourselves with in order to make the most of these experiences. So go out there and find new friends, build conscious community, knowing that you are already connected beyond the present moment. The universe wants you to succeed. Share this and past episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio with your friends, tune in again for future episodes, go with the flow, and help be a conduit through which the universe awakens and experiences more and more of what this reality has to teach us. Enjoy the show, and one love.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your interdimensional star captain speaking. My name is Brendon, but you can also call me Skull Babylon. Prior to taking launch into this episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, we ask that you kindly let go of preconceived notions of what may or may not be the truth in order to appropriately receive, learn, and embody whatever information you resonate with from this flight. Relax your shoulders and remember to breathe. Flight time will last approximately 100 minutes, and during this time, you are welcome to experience sensations of joy, bliss, hope, and excitement as we strengthen our connection through this shared experience together. So sit back, open your heart, open your mind, and enjoy the ride. All right. Some of you are probably shaking your head over that one and laughing at the same time. Welcome, friends, international friends, once again. Of course, as I said, my name is Brendon, and you're tuned in for another exciting, educational, and inspirational episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. So much gratitude for you guys being here. And of course, if you're listening to the show live or if you're listening to this on the recording, then please continue to share Paradigm Shift Radio with people you know and even people you don't know, which means sharing it into Facebook groups and planting those seeds. And you never know where that seed will go, because I always like to think that a new listener is someone who can easily evolve to turn into a potential future admin for our Paradigm Shift community, and then the ripple continues out further from there. So, of course, those of you who may not be entirely familiar with this project, you can check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com, but I'm in the process of updating the website, so I wouldn't necessarily jump on that too quick, but more so than anything, check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/SkullBabylon. Subscribe to that. It's got all the same content there and organized for your convenience. And, of course, tonight's episode of Paradigm Shift Radio is about stories of synchronicity. So this is going to be really exciting. This is going to be something where I know we're going to get some interesting calls into the show, people who are going to be able to talk about how synchronicity has played a role within their awakening. And just a couple things off the top related to community news before we bring on some callers. I want to remind everyone that there is less than 2 days left for you guys to place your orders for the special limited edition pink and black Open Your Heart Conscious shirts. And these shirts are tools for synchronicity, which is a very cool thing. And that is something we can explain more as we go into the show. And again, as we talk more about synchronicity is. But long story short, those of you who aren't familiar, those who may be tuned in live, for the first time, Paradigm Shift Radio is a branch of Paradigm Shift Central, the global community project which focuses on the ongoing creation of conscious media, as well as encouraging people to be able to create conscious community where they are. So by understanding synchronicity, that is going to play a huge part in encouraging you to be able to go out there and engage beyond this radio show, to be able to connect with people in your community who are also interested into shifty themes, as we commonly say here. So, all right. So we're going to bring on some callers pretty early into the show, but we actually have a very special guest here tonight, live in the studio, and I guess she doesn't want me to use her real name. Is that the case? Okay, she doesn't want me to use her real name, but I'll still be able to introduce her as my beloved partner in this ongoing synchronistic adventure that we call life. And she wants me to call her Sunday, so I can go along with that. But she's going to talk a little bit about what synchronicity means to her, and I'm really looking forward to being able to get her input. And then from there, we're going to bring on some more callers. And again, just thank you so much, everyone, for being here on the show. So without further ado, we're going to get into this topic of, and again, the Open Your Heart shirts. You can find a link for that in the show notes for this Blog Talk episode. And it's also teespring.com/openyourheart. Ordering those is one way to support the Paradigm Shift Global Community Project. And thank you so much. And we'll talk more about those in theme with what this episode is about. So with that said, we're going to introduce our first participant into this. Everyone on the internet, say hello to Sunday.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So did you want to introduce yourself?
Well, hey, I'm Sunday. I've been involved with Paradigm Shift for over a year now. It's been quite the ride, and my relationship with Skull has actually been very synchronistic. It's played a huge part in even just how we met and how we met for a second time as well. So synchronicity is something that has been, I think it's so significant in anyone's life, also known as coincidence by many people. And I honestly do not go a day without being affected by synchronicity. So it's something I'm thankful for, and I'm super interested in learning how to harness it almost, like harness the power and be able to use it, not just for the sake of Paradigm Shift, but also just to make my own life and everyone else's lives a little bit better, a little bit more fulfilling in the way that, I don't know, it's a hack to reality, and so I think that's pretty cool.
I like the fact that you sort of say that, the idea that it's like hacking reality, hacking the matrix is a term that I commonly use. But yeah, so co-hosting, wingmanning it, wing-humaning it with me tonight, Sunday. Let's sort of introduce what we can, let's try and use words to describe what synchronicity is for, in this case, say, like a grade schooler or, just someone who hasn't really been introduced to it. Now, for myself, it's really interesting because I think what is really neat about synchronicity is that we don't even necessarily have to read about it in a book for most of us to be able to understand it. It's something that's intuitive, and it's something that is most understood through direct experience. Now, my explanation, my definition of synchronicity is the universe's ability to bring things together at the right place at the right time. Now, those things can be, in most cases, an observer, in the majority of cases, an observer, a conscious observer, and they can be symbols, they can be songs, they can be another person. But it's the interesting idea that this ties in with the idea that everything is connected, and also the idea that things exist beyond the present moment. So it's the idea that things can cross paths in this sort of a gravitational fashion where they just seem to pull towards each other. And my sort of explanation of it is because they were never separate to begin with. They are already connected in the future, and then the present moment is just sort of catching up with them, and the universe is sort of working from beyond our own. It's the idea that there's us, and then there's like the bigger us, which is the consciousness that is communicating back to us through the language of symbols. That is a simple way that I would explain synchronicity. So I mean, common things like 11:11, seeing 11:11 intuitively. When you're just like sitting there working, haven't looked at the clock for 45 minutes, you turn around, oh, it's 11:11. But more so than that, doing it repeatedly. We'll talk about that. What does it mean when we start seeing 11:11? What are some ways that we can interpret that? I have my own interpretations of that. So I mean, yeah. Synchronicity, from my own experience, is this magical element that brings things together in this reality that is working 100% of the time. And that's the idea that synchronicity is a day-to-day occurrence if we are conscious enough to be able to recognize it and to be able to also consciously engage with it as well. I'll just pass it over to Sunday if she wants to add in on this.
Well, I do agree that it's kind of like reminders from the universe. However, I don't think it's external as you may make it sound in what you just said, because I think everyone kind of has the idea that we are the universe in a way, like our individual selves, and in that way, I think it's something that we send to ourselves and we create ourselves. And what you and I talked about earlier, Skull, was the idea of like programming your synchronicities. And can I talk about 9/6?
We could go into that now. I have a bit of a response to what you just said about what I said.
Well, I think it
Go
is
ahead.
something that we kind of create for ourselves, and
Yeah.
and it's like it's such a personal feeling even. So when it happens to me, it's almost like I feel successful. I feel like I am on the right track, and it often comes about in such a way that synchronicities usually happen by my own action, but it's action that completely lacks decision making. So it's not like I'm standing on a street corner contemplating which way I should go and I happen to choose the right one. It's more like I go a certain way intuitively, and there's like a lack of even thinking about it that's there. And that is, I think, kind of tapping into something that a lot of the time we aren't able to. At least me personally, I have some trouble like overthinking a lot of the time. So synchronicities are kind of, they do feel like a reminder of things going good.
I agree. I think that's a really cool thing when like you said, we can program our reality. And whoa, okay, that's interesting. Just kind of had deja vu actually as I'm sitting here having this conversation, which is a synchronicity in itself. That's so trippy. Oh my god, this is getting so meta. I'm like having a synchronicity of a deja vu about talking about synchronicity and deja vus. That's my life for you. But anyways, life is very meta and very holographic, as we've all experienced in different ways. What Sunday was saying, she was sort of saying that I said it was something more external. I said it is the part of us that is bigger than us. What I didn't imply that to mean external, because I think you're right. You're exactly right in this idea that everything is a reflection of us. Everything is interconnected. So like when we have a thought of, like just like, oh, like I really want to go out there and I want to start like meeting people, the universe will be able to hear that thought, and then that will be part of the cause. Like, this is sort of in theme with the whole law of attraction. As you think, so shall you become. It's not separate from it at all. And that is like the cause that the universe hears. It sends out that signal. Like the universe is listening, and then the universe sends it back to you. Now, like that is where it becomes an interesting thing, because the universe may put you right next to a person on the same bus who may be that person who you're supposed to talk to, but then the whole thing that makes synchronicity interesting is our free will to sort of either unconsciously miss when a synchronicity is right in front of us, or to just sort of like make the most of it, to be able to like utilize it and to be able to be aware that these things are occurring. And that's where, for my own experience, doing things like free hugs and doing the things with the shift buttons and building a paradigm shift community, those whole things, all those actions that I did were motivated by my understanding that synchronicity was an inevitable fact of reality. Meaning that, like, if I put out the intention and I kept myself open and, like Sunday was saying, following my intuition, I knew that I would find what I was looking for in various different ways. There's a lot of different interesting things we can talk about this. Let's maybe just hit on a couple more points, and then we'll bring on a caller, and I know we can just continue to expand from there, but Sunday was just passing back.
Well, what's awesome is that I found after I became a lot more aware of synchronicity, I found it harder to interact with it. But before I even had a single clue, it kind of like hits you right in the face sometimes. Like it doesn't exactly need manifestation, although it is a tool that you can use, but it's something that's there no matter how much attention you pay it. Like I said, just kind of like it can hit you in the face, and I think that is a clue. If it's something that is that's very present in like the normal societal things, so in the way that we talk about coincidences and how there's always arguments going on about whether things are coincidence or not. There's meaning to that, and the fact that I think it must be everyone out there has had some kind of odd coincidence or synchronicity happen to them, whether they are aware of how it works or not. That to me means that there really is something there, because sometimes I have trouble grasping concepts that are not there in my own reality, but synchronicity is one of those things that I don't know. I think I just wish people would talk about it more.
Yeah, and it's not really something that we experience in school. Synchronicity was a huge part of my personal awakening. I've told versions of this story on air in the past, but I mean, it was basically myself out in Vancouver for 3 months, and I was doing a lot of yoga, a lot of watching videos on the internet, and just like experience and being open to these experiences. And then a huge synchronicity for me was when I felt I was alone. I felt like I wanted someone to talk to about all this stuff that I was reading on the internet. And then one day, while I was sitting down on a park bench on the beach, like which I had done numerous times in a row, a girl saw me and came up to me and she asked me, and she said, "Hey, do you want to change the world?" And I was just like, "Yeah, like of course." And then right away I'm just like, oh, she knows, she recognized me, like she can tell I'm a shifty character or something like that, because I'm the only guy. I don't know. It was just because, like, I guess I was sitting there writing in a journal, and apparently that's a rare thing for people to do in parks on beaches. I mean, it's not that rare, but obviously she was empathic enough to be able to read my language. So anyways, her being there in the first place was incredibly synchronistic. Like, she was passing through town, her boyfriend's car broke down, they just happened to be in there a day extra, and this happened to cross my path. And then I was just like, whoa, like, what are the odds of that? And it's almost sort of like, it's sort of trivial to try and say what are the actual odds, but more so emphasizing and focusing on the idea that it did happen. And then for me, that was just like, wow, like this is not a mistake. And if this can happen once, it can happen again. And then through her, I met some other people along my journey, which led to some pivotal awakening moments for me. Even some like very real psychedelic experiences, entheogens and without entheogens, that led to evidently this whole paradigm shift project. So that was just one example of synchronicity. So again, synchronicities can appear to you as they are, the universe communicates to itself through the language of symbols. So it's that part of the universe out there that is communicating back to you, that is bringing things into your path, that is trying to make the most of your efforts, and that is trying to even tell you, good job, keep going. So that's an interesting thing that we can just even hit upon, is the common identification of the 1111. I'll just sort of explain something with this real quick as to what I sort of interpret as the 1111, because that's almost like an introduction synchronicity that sort of wakes people up in the first place. And I think that's exactly what it can be seen as. So oftentimes when people who are very in the matrix, so to say, and that is, being in the matrix is like my sort of way of saying that they're convinced that this physical reality is all there is, and they're not really super into like exploring like even lucid dreaming and things like that yet, just because they haven't fully been educated about it.
Would passive be a good word?
Passive, yeah, and like in ignorantly passive, and I don't even say ignorant in like a sort of condescending way either. It's just they don't know sort of thing. So the universe wants us to wake up. One of the ways it can do that is through synchronicity. So say some person who's just like working at an office job, and they turn around, they see 1111. They're just like, okay, that's interesting, and then next day it happens again, and then at home it happens again, and it begins to happen enough times that it gets their attention to the point where they're just like, okay, like this isn't happening by mistake. There's something more to this. And that sparks the question. That sparks like the whole process of investigating and going down the rabbit hole. So then the 1111 thing, my interpretation of it is that people will say it's sort of like the awakening number. And I think even the fact that it looks like, it's pillars, it's 4 pillars or 2 pillars, however you want to look at it. To me, I interpret that as like a gate. And then from there you can sort of evolve your understanding of what the 1111 means as a synchronicity to you, which is this whole thing with synchronicities, is that evidently all the symbols are neutral. We're the ones who can choose how to program them, how to interpret them. So you can begin to program what the 1111 means to you once you recognize that it's there in the first place. And then what you can do, and this is sort of a common one, a lot of people will associate 1111 with meaning that they're on the right path, or at least just put them in a place of reflection. So, like you're just going throughout your day and you like did something awesome for a friend and you met some cool people and you felt really genuine about it, and then you go home and then like 1111's right there. That's like the universe just being like, hey, good job, man. Like brofist, good job, man. Like you did it. You're in the zone today. You're in sync today, and you're in that synchronicity. So the synchronicity is like the flow, the Tao, the natural way of things when we let go of that resistance. And that's even what Sunday was saying, is the idea of, when you're not trying to say, will I go left or will I go right, but you intuitively just follow your choice. That is where you'll find sometimes the more potent synchronicities when you're tapped into that intuition, which is, again, part of the reason why we want people to be aware of the fact that synchronicities are a real thing and how to tap into them. So, I mean, synchronicities are just almost a replacement for the word coincidence, but even still, you can think of the word coincidence as coinciding incidences, which still means the exact same thing. But evidently, yes, you can say everything is a synchronicity, and then it gets into the conversation of synchronicities with varying degrees of like levels. That it's like, be like, oh, like that was like a level 5 synchronicity. That was huge, man. Like, what were the odds of that? Like, that was super rare. Like, that's something where, like you just like happen to run into a friend at a bus station and he's going one way and you're going the other way, and you didn't plan it, and you haven't seen each other in a while, and you have a really genuine connection, and then you connect, and then you end up working on a new project together. Like, that would be a huge synchronicity, something like that, right? Something super rare. And then the little synchronicities, the level 1s and stuff like that, would be like seeing the 11s. And for myself, and even something that has been like experienced by Sunday as well, is this whole like 9-6 thing, which for me, I just want to emphasize, and then we're going to bring on a caller after this, and I'll just sort of plant this seed, is the idea of how we can actually program our reality, how we can create our own synchronicities. So you could pick your own numbers, so to speak. You can say like, oh, I really like the number like 777 or something like that. And then you can start looking for it on license plates. And then if the universe knows that you're looking for it, it can use that as a relay source to message back to you, to sort of communicate with you. And that will be your brofist from the universe, if that's the case. Obviously, 777 would be a rare one. 9-6 is a fairly common one for myself, and there's variations of it, including 6-9 and also 8-2, which is just like the tilted version of it with the infinity loop and the duality to it. So for me, something that, again, 9-6 is just another version of 11-11 for me. It's also very symbolic for me. It means as above, so below, and all this. And when I'm having a good day and I see a 9-6 at the right place at the right time, it really stands out. And I'll just say this real quick, and I'll pass over to Sunday. I know she's got something to say, but just as a most recent example of a 9-6 that I can remember, me and Sunday actually went to go see Dub FX a couple weeks ago, and we did an interview with him, and like that was like a really like awesome feel good experience and things like that. And you can check out my YouTube at youtube.com/SkullBabylon again, subscribe, and the video for that will be on in due time. So anyways, we were there till we had to go home. And we were just like, all right, we're gonna leave soon. And then, do you remember what happened when we like walked out? So you probably didn't, because we were like, having a good time and everything.
In a dancing mode.
But evidently, what happened is that like as we walked out the front of the club that it was at, there was like a car just around the corner that was pulling out of an alleyway, and it like had to stop because we were walking in front of it right at that moment, and the license plate on the car was 9-6. So it's just like a moment like that where we just go through that. We're in the Tao, we're in the flow, and then it's almost like it's an inevitable thing. And when it's there, you can just recognize it and be like, cool. Like, that was cool. Like, but yeah, Sunday, I'll pass it back to you.
Well, that actually, it's been crazy. It never happened to me. I never noticed 9-6 before I met you. And after meeting you and after kind of experiencing things a little bit more with you and kind of seeing things from a different perspective, I see 9-6 everywhere. And I think it must be like 10 times a day, mostly on license plates, but also house numbers. And it's not just the act of seeing it and noticing it, but seems to be the number that you happen to look at that day is 9-6. But what I actually noticed for me is I've been getting a lot of 6-9s. I actually haven't told you this yet. I get a lot of 6-9s, but then when I'm with you, it's a lot of 9-6s.
Interesting.
And so it's kind of like the reverse. But I'd like to play devil's advocate for a second, because what if I'm only noticing them because you have brought my mind to that place and I'm not looking for it, but like I feel like I could have been seeing the same number of 9-6s before I met you, but it just didn't have meaning then. So then it's just put on it that actually creates it, which I don't know, that seems a little bit less authentic than if it worked in a different way.
I think it's really just a matter of like energy goes where our energy flows where our attention goes, sort of thing. So I mean, it's the value, it's the significance that we place on it that sort of determines how the universe relays it back to us. Because you're right, like we can see all these numbers all the time, but whether or not we're sort of recognized in that fashion will sort of determine where and when we kind of see them. Because I think the trick is using the example of 9-6 is, from I don't try looking for it so much. You know, I'm not like driving through traffic and be like, oh, is that 9-6? Nope. Is that 9-6? Nope. Is that 9-6? Nope. Is that 9? Yes, got it. Bullseye. You know, like that's not really what I'll do. Oftentimes it'll just be like I haven't looked at the license plate for the last like 2 hours, and then suddenly I look up and it just happens to be that one. So again, it's that idea of the intuitiveness associated with synchronicity. I'll just share a real quick story, and then we're going to bring on another caller. Or Sunday, do you want to jump?
I've actually tried that. Like I tried in order to kind of disprove you. I would search all the license plates in parking lots and all the license plates around me, especially when I'd have a day where I saw a lot of 9-6s, 6-9s. And so the next day I'd be searching for them and being like, there just has to be an absurd number of people with 9s. And it was never there. Like as I started to search for it, it was not showing up. So in like a whole day of searching, I'm not looking and I'm just letting my attention go kind of sporadically or intuitively. That is when like 5, 10, 15, 9-6s would be showing up in my day.
Yeah. It's really like it's funny because that goes in hand with the idea that it's when we stop looking that we begin to find what it is that we were looking for. So it's this process of letting go. Let me just share one quick example of synchronicity. One of the days where I was just going down and I was going on one of my shiftivism adventures to do free hugs and get out pamphlets for my local Paradigm Shift London, Ontario community, and to be able to connect people with this radio show. And it was something that anybody can do here. And of course, all the information is through the website, and talk to me about it if you want more details, or go back and listen to episode 106 as well, or any of the other past episodes. What ended up happening, I set the intention. I was like, all right, I'm going to go downtown and I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to film it or anything like that because I wanted it to be really genuine. And something happened with my bus. I didn't get the first bus I intended to, so I ended up getting the second bus that came just by mistake, quote unquote. I ended up getting off of the bus stop, and I got off of the bus and like I saw a guy sitting down on the ground and I walked past him, but then my intuition was like, wait a second. Was that guy wearing a Tool shirt? And I'm like, I don't honestly know if I saw his shirt or not, but I was like, hold on. And then I like went back and he was wearing a Tool shirt. So it's probably likely that I like saw it and didn't realize I saw it. But anyways, obviously if I see anyone with a Tool shirt, that's like Alex Gray art, I'm like, hey, I got something awesome for you. And I ended up giving him a shift button with one of the Tool artworks on it, like the Alex Gray artwork on it, and invited him out to the meeting. So again, like that in itself was a synchronicity that I happen that it's almost this idea that goes in line with trust the process of the universe, realize that like nothing is a quote unquote mistake, and if you can sort of be open to opportunities, then you'll sort of see things like that. But my free will could have walked me past him. I could have just been like, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to bother talking to that guy. But I recognized it intuitively, that gut feeling, and then that drew me back, and then like that was an awesome thing. And that's just an example of, like, you know, the whole shift buttons thing. Those are tools. Those are synchronicity evoking tools. And those who aren't familiar, you can check those out at paradigmcentral.com/buttons, or just send me a message about those. Those are available to order at any time. And I'll mention about the draw for those, for people to win some free shift buttons during this episode. We'll talk about that a little later on. So we're going to bring on a caller, and just Sunday, do you have anything else you want to?
No,
not at the moment.
Thanks.
All right, okay, cool. And we were talking about the idea of even just laying down a base foundation of the word synchronicity, going back to the origins of Carl Jung. And what can you tell us just a little bit about that first, actually, and then?
Yeah, I think it was. I have no idea what the chronological order of. I've only watched a movie, but he was a big explorer of, like, dream exploration, and he really believed in the power of consciousness and that having a relation to a healthy and fulfilling life. And I think it happened that in one of his therapy sessions with a patient, she had mentioned dreaming of a certain insect, and he was having troubles with the patient. And so just after she mentioned that, one of those insects, which was actually really rare to the area, flew into the room, and he caught it, and he saw it was the same insect. And through discussing synchronicity, because he started to discuss his idea, he was actually able to help the patient in a breakthrough that would have been impossible without that certain discussion. And so he wrote a book on it with somebody else. I'm not sure the name, but he kind of coined the term synchronicity. And did we talk about what synchronicity means? How it's like the syncing of time, which is chron.
Yeah, go ahead.
So sync is one, or come together. I think it's as one. And then chronic is chron is time, like chronologically. And so synchronicity is just like the coming together of timing, which is exactly the same as what coincidence means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was another quote that we had from Jung. It's just in my other laptop. I don't have the file open in front of me. Can you remember what that was? It was just like,
yeah, synchronicity is a reality always present for those who have open eyes. Something I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's the idea, is that synchronicity is happening all the time for those who have the eyes to see it, sort of thing. So, I mean, that's like this whole idea that the truth is hidden in plain sight, sort of thing. A lot of people can go through this reality. Two people can go through the exact same reality, and it can be very different depending on what their consciousness is within that moment. Whether they're choosing to or whether they're in the habit of kind of being aware to look for more things. And again, it's almost like a practice. You have to sort of know that these things are happening in the first place to sort of be motivated to start looking for them. But once they start happening to you, it becomes a very exciting part of anyone's adventure. So, of course, we encourage people to tap into the synchronistic nature of their reality and to be open to them and to make the most of them. That is a cool thing that we'll be talking more about. So we're going to bring on a caller, and we're going to continue the show from there. And thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. We got 34 users in the live chat as right now. And, of course, last episode was a very popular one, and we'd like to continue to increase the outreach of Paradigm Shift Radio. Feel free to go back, check the past episode about cultivating sexual energy. That was a really cool one. So, again, if you can combine cultivating sexual energy with an understanding of synchronicity, then it's just like extra bonus mode where you can go downtown and you can really get things done. And of course, going back to the 9-6 thing, I encourage anyone to adapt the whole 9-6 number for themselves. It's obviously not mine, it's the universe's. It's tattooed on my wrist as a reminder for myself. It is something very close to me, but it can equally be close to you because it is very symbolic, very, very, very potent, I feel. So figure out your own code your own reality is what I'm trying to tell you to do, and that can be a very exciting thing, and that's where it gets really cool. All right, so we're going to bring on a caller from area code 407, and we got a couple other callers. We got a caller from 559, caller from 425, and I think Tony is also available, and we'll continue to go from area code 407. We're going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go.
What's up, family? What's going on? It's AJ.
Hey, AJ. All right, awesome.
How are you?
AJ, welcome back to Paradigm Shift Radio. So
Thank you.
I can pass the mic over to you. I know we were talking earlier. You were pretty excited to be able to call in, and you
I have so
started.
much stuff to say.
Yes, you've started a Synchronicity journal. You were telling me about,
I did.
and I'm really excited to hear about that. And I think that's a great practical tip. So please, AJ, welcome and continue as you would.
All right. So yesterday it was kind of funny. I've been going through some things at work, and it seems like at this time of year for me, things just sort of get a little hectic, and I guess in the spiritual realm, I guess get negative attacks that come from all different types of places. And I had my tarot cards taken from me about a month ago, and I was without them. I didn't have my stones, didn't have anything, and so I talked to my mom, and I said, she was like, well, what do you want to do today? And I'm like, I really kind of want to go to Avalon, which is a spiritual store in Orlando. And I said, I really want to go there, and I want to pick up, a deck of tarot cards, and I want to go ahead and want to get some stones, and I kind of want to ground myself. I kind of want to be centered. And whatever. She said, well, I got to stop by, and do you want to stay in the car? I said, yeah, I'll stay in the car. I'll just, whatever. And so she went in, I got out. And as I looked down on the ground, it literally, and now, mind you, let me segue to this, because I was wearing my free hug shirt, which is purple and white. So I wanted to order the purple and white one, so I got the purple and white one, and I was wearing my purple and white shoes, and I was looking cute. And so I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, I look down on the ground, and I see this psychic healing, and it's in purple and white. And I just pick it up, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't understand, like, how in the heck is this random? We're in a strip mall. There's hundreds of, cars all over the place. But in this specific spot was this sort of, it was a leaflet. And it had, this person that did a little bit of everything, did a little bit of Reiki, did a little bit of psychic healing and all that other stuff as we were going to the spiritual store. So I was like, wow, that is such a synchronistic moment that meant so much to me at that point, because I was like, number one, the color scheme was exactly what I was wearing. So that meant something personal to me, because it represents the crown chakra and getting back into spirituality and getting on that level. So it was much more deeper than just it being there. It could have been any color, but for it to be that purple and white, and for it to be that just going for the seventh chakra and all that other stuff, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I get to the spiritual store, and I had called them before just asking mainly about, whether or not they had a specific deck that was given to me before, and they didn't have it in. They were going to order it. But I never called back, whatever. So I started talking to one of the ladies behind the counter, and I said, I really need selenite, really need black tourmaline. I really need, I need some certain stones. She said, no problem. I said, I also need some tarot cards. And she said, well, what deck are you looking for? And I said, the Robin Hood Tarot. And she was like, so funny. Today we just got that in. I'm like, shut up. I cannot take it right now. It was like a little bit too much.
Wow.
So it was definitely, all the signs were pointing into the right spot. So after I got home, I wanted to do some research on it, because it was like something was really standing out about the synchronicity, about everything. And so what I started doing, I started looking up Carl Jung, and I started reading about a lot of his stuff. Well, there's also another guy that I'm if maybe in the Google Hangouts I could send a link. I don't know if I can send the link through the group. Actually, I can. I can send it through the group chat. But there's a guy that I think his name is Frank something, and he did like a whole lecture on synchronicity, and he said that he started writing a journal, and he started noticing similarities and started taking other people's synchronistic moments and started seeing similarities with all that, and he came up with 17 categories of synchronicity, and he started going into how we, the ancient Greeks said that, every human being is born with the beginnings of two roads, the left-hand path and a right-hand path. The right-hand path is sort of like security, job, money, respect, health, all this stuff that we do in regular life that would be considered the normal way of living. It would be you get a job, you have, you get a car, you get married, you have kids, and then you die. And so in that sense, there's not a lot of synchronicity that you find, because he said on the left-hand side that you go upon, the left-hand side is more following your bliss, which Joseph Campbell, a philosopher, was, from 19th century or 20th century, he definitely said that following your bliss is definitely where the left-hand side would be. So it's everything that spiritually that's intuned or engraved in you, something that you love to do, something that makes you happy, something that you're supposed to do, but a lot of times we sort of stand back and don't understand why we get wrapped up in certain things and we don't follow our hearts or our spirit in certain things. So what happens is when we follow the left, what the spirit does is says, you know what, I'm letting you know you're on the right track. So to let you know that you're on the right track, I'm going to sing you some signs. I'm going to sing you some symbols. I'm going to tell you that this is exactly where you need to be at the right time, at the right place, and make it meaningful for you. So that way you understand that it's not just, it's not a coincidence. This is something that has been sort of prostrate, but you just haven't seen it yet. So, I mean, I like definitely what Sunday was saying, with it being a thing that we send it to ourselves. And I think in some sense we do send it to ourselves. I think that we make the conscious decision at certain levels. If I would not have said, I was supposed to go to the gay pride parade downtown, and I didn't go because I just was in too much pain. But if I would have said, I want to do that instead of getting what I needed to get for myself and getting back on that level, I would have missed the whole thing. I would have missed it. But because I made that conscious decision, and I said, you know what? No, I need to go get some things. And the universe has said, you know what? Boom. I'm just like, you're absolutely 100% correct. And so that's where the synchronicity is really great. Now, one of the things I want to hit on if I have a chance, I want to say Frank Johnson, but I can't remember. I'm going to send a link. But he said that there are 17 categories of synchronicity. One of them are inanimate objects. They're things that you just don't really play a role, but they might have some meaning to you, that they come into your life. Number 2 is numbers. So then he went through a whole number scheme. One of them, through the numbers 1 through 12, and I'm going to go through this really quickly. 1 being wholeness, 2 being struggle, 3 being God, 4 being harmony, 5 being male consciousness, sort of like the willpower to go ahead and create in itself. Then the female is number 6, which is intuition. 7 is completion, 8 is death, 9 is birth, 10 is leadership or power, 11 is chaos, and 12 is a feminine energy or goddess energy. And then it starts going into the environment for number 3, premonition, dreams, telepathy, origins like background, like when, let's say you were to do a genealogy trace back on like family members, and you start noticing certain things that are characteristics that you had that this person went through, and you see it's like, wow, you're living the same life that person did, but you didn't even know that person. Another one are parallel lives, lives that you have led. Either my mom was just talking about the other day. She said she had a dream when she was 18 years old that she was married to a white guy. She had 2 kids, and she just felt happy in a dream. Now, she had never met this person before, didn't know about it, but she said, I would never forget that dream because it was almost like it was a parallel life. It was almost like something that I was supposed to do but didn't really get onto that path. And she spoke to one of her friends, and one of her friends was like, well, that was your soulmate. Or it could have been a past life. So those are other things that can come into play with synchronistic meanings that you might not understand at that moment, but could have validation. Another one is art, film. Another one was warnings. Another one was death. Another one was reincarnation. Another one was guidance, transformation. There was a whole lot. There was a whole lot of stuff. So I just did a lot of research, and I started doing a journal. And what I want to do, I created 2 journals. I created one for the tarot in itself, and for Reiki and the merging of the two, which I got a book on. And then I also went ahead and did research on synchronicity and dream world. So because I'm an avid dreamer and I lucid dream all the time, find out if there is a correlation between major dreams that I'm having or certain events that are happening in my life with the dreams that I'm having, and what the synchronicity is or the message is that's going to be brought from that. So I just decided to do that yesterday, and then I see the post that you're talking about synchronicity today, which then just blew my mind. I was like, oh, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe it. It's crazy. So it just all encompassed everything all at once. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was what I wanted to mention.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, like based on that list that you got, I'm sure that could be explored even more in depth.
Most
totally.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I like kind of even what you hit upon is that the idea that, you know, we're more likely to have important synchronicities when we sort of like get out of our comfort zone and get up off of our couch and leave our house. When we go into places that have a lot of chaos, there's also a lot of opportunity for synchronicity, which is why doing things in like cities and rural areas and doing, you know, shiftivism type stuff is such a potent potential, because there's so many people, there's so many potentials who are coming and going and have that opportunity to create that gravitational pull and end up crossing your path. So yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm excited for your free hug shirt to evoke even more synchronicities for you.
I'm gonna show it when we go to the Google Hangouts after the show, whatever. I will be showing that off, definitely. It's definitely something that I've been putting around, and I want to start. Like I said, there is a time that I'm going to go ahead and do something downtown in Orlando, and I've told people about it. I've got people excited about it, pumped up about it, to give free hugs and to do some awareness. I know I'm going to do it at EDC. It's kind of like Electric Daisy Carnival. It's going to be a big festival, and it's funny because I went ahead and linked up with a guy, another synchronistic moment. He started talking about doing free hugs at EDC, and I was like, well, I was going to do that, and I was going to do it on Saturday, and he was like, yeah, I'm doing it on Saturday too. I was like, well, let me add you as a friend, and let's just go ahead and do this together and see how many people we can get together to go ahead and get this thing going. And so I sent him a picture of this shirt. He was like, man, that's awesome. And I told him about the Paradigm Shift Radio. So, I mean, it's like things are really moving. So I'm pretty excited.
Totally. Yeah,
pretty excited.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and I even like that was kind of one of my theories back in the day with this whole shift in consciousness, was the idea that synchronicities were becoming like more prevalent based on even just from like 2008 to 2012, and now where we are almost 2015, like synchronicities are more ready for us to engage with them because they're an opportunity for consciousness to help wake itself up, is something I sort of summarize it as. So we're gonna bring on another caller. AJ, we can you're welcome to stay on the air. Would you like to?
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're actually going to bring on a caller, and I know I said we have a caller from 559 and 425. We're just going to bring on another caller only because I know they have to leave shortly, so we're going to bring them on real quick. This is actually a good friend of ours who's been on the show in the past. This is Gianna Lightworker of Gianna and Genevieve, the Lightworker twins, who has been on a past episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, and you can find them on YouTube somewhere. She'll be able to tell you about it. But anyways, we're going to bring on Gianna. She's a very intuitive, empathic individual who helps people out by doing readings and doing lots of healing. So I'm really excited to be able to hear what she has to say about synchronicity and to be able to help remind us of what it is and how we can sync up with it. So Gianna, we're going to bring you onto Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go.
Hi.
Hello, Gianna. Hi. Welcome back. Long time no hear.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, definitely.
Well, you've been keeping busy.
Synchronicities, huh? Yeah.
Synchronicities. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a funny synchronicity, actually. Like, I don't know, I'm really good at picking up on people, like, before they, like, come into my reality or something. Like, I don't know, I always have dreams about people, or, like, it's just, like, my intuition, like, tells me when to, like, reach out to people, or, like, clients, or, like, you know, like, the universe, like, give them an extra push, or, you know, or I just, like, you know, when people will think about you, they, like, send you, like, some energy, like, at you. And it's, like, it can be really subtle, but I guess since like I work with my intuition like 24/7, it's not so subtle to me. But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about like how I haven't like listened to this show in a while and stuff. So yeah, that's cool.
You being here on the air is a synchronicity. What are the odds?
Yes, it is. It is.
Go figure. Cool.
What a
cool.
synchronicity the show of synchronicity is. Yeah.
Hmm. So I mean, I don't think you heard the top of the hour and stuff like that. One of the things I was going to mention, whether it's something you would actually even be able to bounce off me, and we have a friend Sunday and AJ who are here as well. But I was going to say, tie in with the idea of our own names can have synchronistic meaning. So again, synchronicities are something that we have the potential to recognize the meaning of. We can either be like, whoa, that's super synchronistic to me, or meh, you know. So and just as my own example, this is like my synchronistic story real quick, is the idea that for quite some time I had like this, I was drawn to the idea of the wolf. The wolf was something that I really liked, and I'm like, yeah, I guess it's my spirit animal or whatever, my spirit teacher, and I looked to it. And then literally years later, it wasn't until like 2013, I'm like, my middle name, Randall, what does that mean? Like, I should probably figure that out. I know what my first name means. I'm going to run a search on what that means. And then like as I'm typing that and as it pulls up in the search engine, my middle name means wolf, means wolf shield. It's a Nordic origin. So I'm just like, in that moment, I was just like, son of a bitch, like, oh, universe, like, boom, like, right on, like, what are the, it's just like, and I was just like, wow, that's really cool, like, that is exactly sort of in line with what I would have expected it to be. And that even goes out, again, in theme with the idea that there's us here, and then there's like the bigger us, the higher conscious version of ourselves that has the potential to see things beyond the present moment, to be able to, in this case, even choose our name to have a potential synchronistic meaning to us. That was just something I want to share. Feel free to spin some ideas off that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And I like that you said that, like talked about like our higher aspect, because like, I mean, I feel like a lot of people either kind of focus on like one or the other, but it's like there's this balance that like a lot of people don't really incorporate, of like the higher self, the higher, oneness of like soul contracts and kind of like what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, and then kind of like the free will that we have in this lifetime to kind of get close or far away from that, and it's like, so a lot of people like, and that's kind of like when we get closer to that, like where the synchronicities kind of start manifesting, but it's like what we're creating for ourselves, but kind of on an unconscious level to a degree sometimes. So I like that you mentioned that, because not a lot of people incorporate both. And there's a definite balance of like masculine and feminine, like being in control and then like letting go of control.
Yeah, just kind of expand on that. When do you think synchronicity is like most capable of working well for us? Like, what should we do in order to be able to meet synchronicity halfway? What are some practical things we can do with our life? Even obvious things.
Well, first by like honoring yourself by, kind of stepping out into the world and doing what it is that you feel to do, or what it is that you want to do. Like our desires and our wants always deeper down align with our spirit and what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime. People say like, oh, God gives you like your desires for a reason or whatever, and that's like a way of saying, like that is true, that because our desires are in alignment with our soul work. But when we get in touch with that soul work, and when we get in touch with our soul, that's when, like we kind of project that out vibrationally, and we like kind of get that back in our reality. So a lot of people, I guess like in what you like need to do to get that synchronicity is just kind of like step out there in whatever way, and like action, like take steps to get there in whatever way that you feel called to, whether it's like through your work or through, whatever it is that you're drawn to do in this lifetime.
Yeah, like following our dharma sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, like synchronicity. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that a lot of people they kind of expect things to happen to them, and it's kind of a 50-50 thing, with you and the universe, or the conscious version of yourself, the whole oneness. It's your team.
Yeah, I like that. The idea of seeing the future version of ourselves as our teammate sort of thing, and being able to, that's something that for me has been the big paradigm shift, is understanding that we exist beyond the present moment. So meaning that when we project intentions, they send out branches into the future, and then those branches are paths that we can synchronistically align ourselves with in very real ways. Sunday has something to say, I think.
I totally agree, and keeping in mind that we are the universe, and I actually kind of like the idea that synchronicities are almost like a different version of ourselves. Well, I guess that's still just macro micro type of thing. But that sometimes I get overwhelmed at the world being such an external thing while I'm such an internal thing. But being aware that it's not quite like that, it's easier to comprehend, and I think it then makes it easier for you to realize the power that is inside of you, in the sense of control that you can have. So it's almost like you are working with something that you're familiar with, and in that case it's just a sense of remembering.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like your reality is what you're projecting out into it. So if it's scary to you, then it's there's parts within you that are scary for you. It's all you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed as well is what was not mentioned in one of the 17 things was intent. And I think that intent is one of the most major things that it sort of speaks to me when it comes down to synchronicity. Is sometimes we do things and we don't really understand why we do them, or and Sunday you hit on this as well. You don't know whether or not you're going to go left or right, but you just kind of make the decision. But when the intent is out there, whenever you decide something, especially on a spiritual level, or it's about getting to that oneness with you and whoever it is, or just being in that sense of I need direction, or I need something, and you're sending out that intent to say I need this to come to me. That definitely is something that I think plays a major part in synchronicity and how the universe kind of brings everything into play. Just something that I've noticed.
Yeah, it's really like the universe is.
Yeah,
the universe is helping you out, and things come to you as you need them. So my own lessons are kind of I've been learning what putting out the wrong intention feels like, and I've been able to recognize that, and so cool, synchronistic. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, one thing that I'm always reminded of is the book The Alchemist. The Alchemist is a well-known story. Those of you who haven't read it, I would suggest reading it. The whole book is about synchronicity, but do they use the word synchronicity within the book? No, they don't. But they say much of what Aja just said is when you set out an intent, the universe conspires to help make it happen, sort of thing. And the whole theme is about understanding the language of the universe. So being able to understand the symbolic meaning within certain occurrences, and being able to see omens that help you go in certain directions. And I think that is just the super, super awesome aspect of this whole thing. It's just the idea that when we want to change the world, the universe will conspire to help make it happen. That's the beauty of it, and that's the part that actually gives out hope. So that's why I'm constantly encouraging people to go out there and build conscious community, because those are the first steps towards creating a network, which eventually you can grow and create a foundation from, and then together you'll change the world as a team, opposed to just by yourself. But in the continued steps, it is that idea that like the universe will be able to like hear that signal, recognize that signal, and be able to just like start bringing it together. And again, just reiterating that now more than ever, that's super, super possible. And even just the pamphlet thing, like what AJ was saying, that's one of the tactics. Again, there's tactics that I suggest in terms of like the building paradigm shift communities and shiftivism. And one of the simple ones is taking a pamphlet, and you can find pamphlets for the web for this through the website, or message me to like leave. So you take a pamphlet and you like leave it on a bus seat, right? And then you don't know who's going to pick it up. But there's a good chance that it will be a person who will be like, wow, like I was totally looking for something like this, you know, because that will find its way to them, even if it's like blowing in the wind and lands like somewhere in the park or lands in a parking lot, crazy things like that. But you can be the other side of the synchronistic event simply just by like placing things in certain positions. And that, again, the shift buttons and all that, they go in hand with that. All right. Okay. So we are at 10:13 in terms of the live clock as it is right now. A few more callers who I do want to be able to bring on as well, and there's a couple of community things I want to touch upon. But Gianna, do you have to have it soon?
Yeah, I do. But
yeah? Okay.
I guess there was one thing that I did want to say about synchronicity before I did head out. I guess like a lot of like I know this from personal experience and from working with a lot of my clients and just like people that I know, and I guess observation, but a lot of things that keep people like out of touch with synchronicities, and like because like a synchronicity is just pretty much like being aware that you're like creating your reality, you know, because it's like a sync, you know, it's like, oh yeah, confirmation, that was me, I'm doing the right thing, I'm creating my reality, I got it, you know. So it's like what kind of keeps people out of touch with that, and like other things that they're trying to create, like, you know, with a lot of people it's like, you know, success or like awesome relationships, or you know, whatever it may be, because they're just like synchronicities, you know, when we like set that intention, when we actually get it. But it's like not being receptive to it, and a lot of people like carry these beliefs that keep them like, oh, that can't happen, or I don't deserve it, or you know, things like that, or and those, when we have those kind of beliefs that like, you know, when we set that intention to have it, it's like our emotions like indicate that we have like this resistance towards having it. So, but it's like when we're relaxed, we like, that's indicating that like we don't have any resistance towards it, and we can be receptive to receiving it and creating it and having that synchronicity into our lives. So it's like when I guess what keeps people from not having synchronicities is a lack of relaxation, I guess, was something that I thought, you know, would be something to say.
I think so, and that's kind of what I was hitting upon earlier, is that by becoming a healthier, more mindful, more relaxed version of ourselves, we're more receptive to being aware and being able to receive the synchronicities. It's a very interesting pattern that we can observe from that. So awesome. Well, Gianna, thank you so much for being on the show. Before you go, if there's any last things that you really want to mention, and also just letting people know where they can find you on YouTube and Facebook as well.
I don't have anything else to say. That was it. But you can find me and my twin sister on YouTube at Crystal Starseed 444. You know, YouTube / Starseed 444, and on Facebook, Gianna Lightworker, or Crystal Starseed 444 on Facebook as well. So
awesome, cool. Well,
or lightworker.com actually. I forgot we have a website.
Sorry, say the web address again.
Lightworkertwins.com.
There you go. Awesome. All right, we'll include those into the show notes and into the live chat for people looking to connect with Gianna. And you can go back and check out one of the past episodes we did. It was a while ago, but we could definitely schedule another one in the future. It's good to be able to hear what you've been up to, and I know you've been doing a lot of great work as a fellow light worker, as are so many of the other people who are tuned into the show. So cool, Gianna. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon enough.
All right, cool. Have a great night.
See you, Gianna.
All right, so that was a good friend, Gianna, and again, you can check her out at Crystal Starseed 444 on YouTube, and we'll bring on some more callers, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. Just want to remind you guys that if you want to enter into the draw for the free shift buttons that we'll do this week, you can send a message to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio now, and let us know that you're listening to the show. And again, the shift buttons in theme with this whole synchronicity idea. Like, these are, again, a reflection of my passion of understanding how awesome synchronicity works and being able to create tools for us to be able to tap into them. So the buttons are something that you can wear. They all have consciousness shifting themes, and they can get seen by people who you just happen to cross paths with, and they can also be given as gifts, and they have the link to the website and this radio show. So it's super digital, it's super easy, and it's super engaged and interactive, and you can order those online through the main website. And also, if you want to get those for free this episode as a part of the draw, thanks to community donations and all our beautiful community supporters, again, send a message to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio, and even by entering your name in now, you'll be in the draw for next week's episode, and that's how much fun we have. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll continue to move along with the next caller who we have in the queue. So caller from area code 559, we're going to bring you onto the air. Here we go. Caller from area code 559, get ready. Just making sure they got an extra second. So here we go. Hello, caller. Can you hear us?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, caller. Welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. Have you been on before?
No, the first time.
Awesome. Well, caller, please, where you're calling from and what it is to bring to the show tonight.
Yeah, my name's Nathan Lopez. I'm calling from Fresno, California. And one reason why I wanted to call, I've been following you for since, 2012, researching and stuff like that, and all the stuff that was going on and stuff that was supposed to happen or thought maybe would happen. But the reason why I called is I just wanted to share it. If anybody has ever Googled the exact time that Jesus supposedly died.
That's new. No. That's new to me. Yeah, fill us in.
Yeah. It's actually been new to me too. And by researching, 333 is really a powerful number. It's been actually waking me up in the middle of the night, like frantic, like sweating, like, oh my God, what's going on? Like I was woken up by something or somebody. And it's 3:33 a.m. and it's been really weird. It's been happening since I was like 19, I believe. But anyways, if you Google the exact time of Jesus' death, it's I'm bringing it up. It's at 3 o'clock, and it's April 3rd, 33 A.D. So it's just kind of shocking when I found that out. But just basically 333 has been a big part of my life. But some of the things that have been happening was visualizations and like affirmations and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys actually use those. It's new to me, but I've done that, and I purchased a vehicle, mileage 33,333. Really weird. Taking like big steps in my life. I previously got my Class A, studied really hard. Time woken up at 3:33 that day. 11:11 when it seemed like I went into the DMV, and it seemed like there's no way for me to get this test going on. It was just kind of like a walk-in, all odds against me. And then look at the clock, sporadically, and it's 11:11. So it's like, okay, maybe I should just hang out, relax a little bit, because the DMV lady told me there's no possible way. There's too many people in front of you. You're probably not going to be able to take your test. So I'm like, okay, I'll just hang out. And just because I saw 11:11, and then just so happens that I got to be able to take my test, and I passed it, got my Class A. But I just wanted to share that these numbers are a sign to me just to like keep your faith, keep your your strength, and know that everything's going to be okay. And it's like manifesting what you desire. And I think these numbers, or the universe, is telling us to just keep your faith, pretty much.
For sure, man. And I think it's really like, have you sort of looked into the different symbolic meanings of 3/3s and things like that?
Yeah, like spiritual number meanings. Yeah, it's 11:11, 3/3. I can't tell you exactly what they mean, but I see them all. Like you guys have mentioned, license plates and bank statements and stuff like that. 222, 134, 1212. I mean, all of them. It's just kind of it's hard to talk about this pretty much with anybody, because everyone thinks you're like a weirdo, for one thing. So it's actually kind of nice to talk to other people that are experiencing the same things as me, because for the longest time you just think like, oh God, what is really going on with me? I'm waking up at 3:33 in the morning in a panic, but it's like almost, whether you call it God or universe or whatever the case may be, I think that the universe now or whatever's going on is just helping us along and guiding us to manifest what we desire.
Totally, man.
May I mention something on that one?
Go ahead, AJ.
One of the things that when I was going through the numbers is that when you were talking about 333, that representation of 3 was representative of God. It was representative of the Godhead, and I guess I had a few questions to ask you only because I'm getting a sense from you. It seems, from what I'm reading from you, it seems like you are going through a transition, but you are a natural leader, and you're just now finding your voice and trying to sort of mold your path to where you're getting the full fruition of what is needed for your life. And I think that these numbers are, I think that these numbers are hitting you for the specific reason, as that is a definite direct connection to not only spirit, but also for you to understand that this is where you are guided to. And you also mentioned another thing, because it was like talking about license plates and all this other stuff. We really haven't gotten into the other facet of when people really start learning about secret societies and learning about.
Wow, wow! I cannot believe you just said that.
Well, yeah. I'm just being honest.
No, I'm like shocked.
Because I think that this has a big part to play with it. I think this has a huge part to play with it. I think that with going into learning about secret societies, this is what happens. And a lot of times, a lot of people, you know, they get wrapped up and the numbers of the Masons and notice it's 33rd and it's a 33rd and a 3rd degree. So you have 3, 3, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
so
the 32.
So it's a 33rd and a 3rd. It's a 33rd. It's a 33 and a 3rd. So it's the 333, which is the enlightenment. So when you start getting into the numerology and you start getting into the secret society and understanding the numerology behind that, what tends to happen is that you start noticing a lot of that stuff around everywhere. It almost starts ruling your life. And I had to take a step back for a little bit because there were certain things that were hitting my spirits where I was just like, one of my friends just kind of went crazy. And he was just, everything with numbers all over the place. And he was totally consumed by it, but he was getting messages, but the messages weren't clear to him. It didn't give him any foundation to work with. It was just noticing. But it didn't have any real motivation for him to either change what he was doing or to find that enlightenment. It just was what it was. And so I think Right. So sometimes it gets a little crazy because you don't want to take it too far to where you start going off the grid to where it's like, okay, now I'm in crazy land. You know what I'm saying? But
totally.
They do, but there has to be a reverence for the numbers and an understanding and getting the message from what that means. And so when you see that, when you see those numbers, the first thing that I usually do is I say, well, what message are you trying to give to me? And usually I know it because my spirit already knows because it just makes total sense. It's like, oh, you were just right there at the right time. This is totally awesome. But then there's other times where I'm like, I see something constantly, and I'm like, okay, this is something that's come up a few times. Let me do some research on this. Let me find out exactly what this means. Let me see how this correlates with my life and what's going on with my current situation. And then I start making changes on that. And I think that might be one of the things that's going to help you. But God bless you. Like, I know you're going on the right path. Like, things are definitely looking up for you. So that's the reason why, if you have anything to mention, I just want to throw it out there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just like in awe. Like, I got in chills and sweats right there just because 333 is I mean, I research online and just trying to figure out, like, if other people are seeing the same stuff. And what I've been drawn to recently is the Freemason, and because of their geometry and their 33rd high rank and stuff like that, and then researching it here in Fresno, and their addresses is actually 3331, I believe. And it's just like, man, is someone or something trying to tell me that I need to go over there and present, like, what I've been feeling or sensing kind of thing. And a lot of it's just nervousness, not knowing what they're about or what it is. And when you said I have a sense of leadership, it's like I have these dreams knowing that I'm meant to do something big and that I know that personally, but it's like I haven't found it yet. I haven't found the right path or where I need to go or the right direction. And it's just with you just mentioning that, it's just like maybe that is, you know what I mean, a path that I could research.
Yeah, it was just hitting on my spirit, and I just felt like it was needed to be said because it was something that you were searching for, and there was and that's another synchronistic moment in itself, just because it was something that had crossed my mind, but then it was like right when you went in and said that, it just brought everything together, and I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Okay, there it is. And that's sort of the way it works. That's the way it works, because it's when it makes sense. It makes sense to you. It might not make sense to anybody else, but synchronistic moments are for you and you alone, because it's one of those things. I mean, it's where you take from it. It's where it makes sense to you, and you feel like that message is sent for you, and it was just at that right time, at that right moment, and it makes you smile sometimes. You're like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not that.
Yeah. No. It's like a weight lifted off your shoulders, because I mean you can't talk about this. I mean, all my close friends around me know, like, you know how I'm into numbers. I have 333 tattoos on my belly, and then some other geometrical, like pyramids on my shoulders and stuff like that. It's just like it's just inside of me, like they're meant to be on me. They're meant to have, you know what I mean, the actual dimensions, on me, and the way they're tattooed on me. And no, it's just really good to, relate to someone that is.
So if you want to add me on Facebook, it's AJ Galloway. I mean, you can look me up and add me, and we can get into some more conversation about that. That'll be awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you say that again?
AJ Galloway. It's AJ. Then Galloway is GALLAWAY. And Facebook.com. You can hit me up.
Awesome. And caller, sorry, remind me of your name again, and I'm sure, are you on Facebook?
Yeah, it's actually Nate Lopez.
Yeah, okay. Just send me a link, or send me a message from your profile, and then I'll post it into the live chat too. And
cool.
We'll just make sure it's in the show notes and everything. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, with the 33 things, I was just, for me, when I heard that, I'm just like, now, was Jesus really born at that time, or is that just the time that they chose to write into the book for symbolic meaning, which I think is the more likely case, because if we're looking at it all as like a metaphor and allegories and esoteric knowledge decoded, then that's the whole idea that Jesus sort of represents like the ascended version of the human that all of us can be, which is the idea that Jesus was just some guy with all his chakras opened, and he was in tune with synchronicity and things like that.
I don't believe that Jesus was here and said, make a religion out of this. I think Jesus, was a man that was fully aware, fully consciousness, and was trying to teach people how to be like this, not to be like some crazy religion and you have to do this and follow it this way. It's like just what you can be, or what we're possible to be. So, thank you guys.
Bring on some more callers. We got about half hour left in the show, and we're just going to keep things moving along. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, man. I mean, you're welcome to stick in, or like you're welcome to stay within this conversation if you'd like. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Awesome, thanks. All right, so we'll bring on another caller from area code 425. We're going to bring you on the Paradigm Shift Radio. So again, caller from area code 425. Here we go. Hello, caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. How are you today?
Awesome, I'm doing great. Caller, please introduce yourself, where you're calling from, and what you would like to bring to the show.
Yeah, this is Harmony Fronterhouse. I'm calling from Everett, Washington. Just wanted to add to the conversation of synchronicity and my experiences that I've been having synchronicity experiences since I was a childhood. Since my childhood. And just the numbers, the 1111, 333, 444, 222, 2 has been a big number for me. And then also when I look at the clock at 12:34.
Harmony, I don't know if you're, sorry, I just had to interrupt. I don't know if you're standing next to something, but there's like an extra static feedback that's coming through on your end. Are you near like a TV or a microwave or something, or a speaker?
I have a light.
If you want to give it a shot real quick. Just so
yeah, I have a light on that may have been changing it. So is that better? No, not better.
Sort of, maybe just try like walking around a little bit and just keep continuing, and we'll try and fix it. Yeah, AJ, you guys can hear that too, I imagine. It's not just
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Is it better now,
okay.
or is it still
I don't
there?
know. It must be the Men in Black. They're like bombarding your radio waves or something like that. That's fine. Or the aliens. Who knows?
Okay, so I'll just keep going.
Go ahead. We'll try and decode it and use our psychic senses to. But if it's too much, I'll let you know.
Perfect. So,
go ahead, Harmony.
So yes, I've been also seeing the numbers 12:34 and 56 seconds. Like when it turns on the time, it'll turn. Like I look at the clock, and then all of a sudden it'll turn to 12:35, and so it was a meeting time that we had as in high school as a kid with a bunch of my friends, and so I still see it every now and then, and I'm like, oh, and then I think about those people, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if those people are thinking of me, or how that's going. Can you still hear me, or is it?
Yeah, it's coming and going, but we can still hear
coming
you.
And going?
We're just putting up with it, but it's okay. It's worth it
to
hear from you. So.
All right. And also the journaling really is amazing, because I've been journaling about synchronicity for about 2 years now, since just before the 2012 shift of the ages came along. And I've been journaling about that, and it's just amazing that the synchronicities that have graced me, especially when I met my husband, there were like left and right we'd be talking, and we'd say something, and then on the television something would come on exactly the same as what we were talking about. Or when we were, supposed to meet at a certain time, it would be like we'd meet up, and it would be like a significant time. That we'd actually end up meeting up. Or there's just synchronistic things like it's a small world thing where you just meet people and you hear their story, and it's like you meet up with people, and they're like, you lived in my house 2 people before me? Wow, oh my goodness. And that's a true story. Like I met somebody who that knew people that I knew that didn't even know me, that I found out that they lived in my house. And it's like, wow, and I still know that person. And both my husband and I knew that person before we even met each other, which is even more interesting. And I think that geography plays a lot of synchronicity with, like, where we're at certain places at certain times, like you were talking about, the right place, the right time, and, like, where we're stationed on this earth. And sometimes we're not able to make it to a certain event, and it's because we're not supposed to be there. We're supposed to be at our home or at another place with someone else. And also I have an amazing story about synchronicity that just really blows my mind when I think about it. And it first came to my mind when I saw that your show is going to be about synchronicity tonight. And it's when I was I was guided to get a hand drum, like a Native American stretched hide drum, and to do healing work and frequency healing. And it was amazing because I looked around and I wasn't guided to the right one or any of them. And my budget wasn't, too high. It was reasonable, but it wasn't the budget of some of the ones that I had seen for $500 or more, And I was looking on Craigslist one day, and I come across this one, and something had happened to interrupt me, and like something with my computer, or one of my kids came along and I didn't call that person. And then I went back to find the lady, and I called her, and she had already sold the drum. Well, then I looked back and I put shaman drum in the search engine, and the only thing that came up was this DNA activation and healing festival down in Shelton, Washington, that it said like shaman and something else. And so I was like, well, be guided to this. And so I printed out a flyer for it, and for some reason my printer was set on 3 pages or something, and it printed out 3 copies of them. And so I was like, okay, this is another synchronicity. Am I supposed to do with these other 2 copies? So I was thinking and meditating. I was like, well, I know that there's a metaphysical shop that's down in Everett that I haven't been to. I've been told by about 5 different people that I should go and check it out. One being the woman who married us, and that was another synchronistic event all on its own. But the amazing thing was when I went and I called and I asked them if they had a message board. They said yes. I went down there, and there was a drum there for sale for like $5 less than my budget. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm definitely supposed to have this drum, and it's an amazing piece of work. It was handcrafted by an elder that a local tribe around here, and it's just I've done some amazing healing on my own being with this drum, and also other people as well. And that just was an amazing synchronicity. And then the festival itself that I was guided to, I met some incredible people. Had a DNA activation with a crystal grid and a didgeridoo, and it was really just amazing. And then my husband and I were inspired to perform crystal grid DNA activations on other people as well. Wow. And it just kind of guided us to that whole scenario and those people, and also in the end, because I wasn't thinking all about just the drum, and I was like, okay, well, there's a reason for all this, then I was guided to the reward of the drum in the end. It was really like, wow, this is amazing. And another really amazing wink from the universe, per se, or verification that magic is abound, is the Star Knowledge Conference that I was guided to. My husband and I, just before the Venus transit in 2012, we were guided to the Star Knowledge Conference to go to Mount Shasta, and we kind of like joked it off at first, and we're kind of saying, oh, well, maybe we should go, and then we ended up all the stars aligned, or however you want to see it, everything kind of lined up, and we were able to go there and be a part of it, and then it guided us to be part of the actual conference and the next following conferences, and part of the Global Children's Council, which I was honored to orchestrate this last winter's Star Knowledge Conference in California. So I was just blown away by everything and how it guides you to be where you're supposed to be when you don't have any money and you don't have, you just let go and you just be free, and like somehow like your comp tickets and somebody pays for your room, and you're just like, oh my God, is this really happening? Okay, I'm definitely supposed to be doing this. And just it, like with your show, I was actually guided to your show through Philosophical and Galia, and I worked with both of them at that Global Children's Council at Star Knowledge Conference. So it's another synchronicity that, just is an amazing world that verifies that magic is all around us, and just want to, share my love and my story and my experiences, because it's something that really excites me and has for a long time.
For sure. That's awesome, Harmony. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like that, I love the fact that like one synchronicity leads to another synchronicity leads to another synchronicity, and then you look back a year later and you're just like, wow, like if that one thing didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am now. And that is like something where you can really bring like a humbleness into wherever it is that you find yourself. So that's really cool.
Now, the Star Knowledge Conference guided me to the 1111 star laws, which I didn't even know that the Star Knowledge Conference had anything to do with 1111 or any of that when I first found out about it. And the chief Golden Light Eagle, he and many elders have put together the book of the symbols, they call it now. It was Makawa Chakpiwa Chohan, and it was the Earth Star Ways. And it talks about the 1111 symbols that were brought to them through vision, and they're the same symbols that happened through synchronicity. After he saw all these symbols through vision, he saw the piece of metal that came down in Roswell with all the symbols on it, and it's the same symbols that are on that bar of metal, and they're the 11 universal laws of the universe, or 11 spiritual laws and the 11 universal laws. And it's just really beautiful. It has a spiritual law of the growth of man and balance and equality and not synchronicity, but symmetry. And it's just, you could go on and
there's a whole episode on
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's amazing. So
cool.
And then I also wanted to touch on the Mason aspect that was brought up earlier in the show.
Sure. I'll just say with we're running. We got 2 more callers we're going to bring on. I know you know this, but I'm just saying for everyone too. So, but on the Mason thing, you're right. Like go ahead.
Yes, definitely. Just that Masons and all secret societies, the reason why they've kept this information secret is because they know the power of numerology and synchronicity and power numbers, sacred geometry, and to just remember that, we have the power to use them and spread them and share them without secrecy, and bring in the proper use of sacred geometry and numerology to bring this beautiful golden age that's coming.
Totally.
Instead of the fear, unconditional love,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's love is one of the most effective ways to sort of program the synchronicities if we're doing it from an honest place. And I know I said earlier, if you're trying to change the world, even if you're not trying to quote unquote change the world, even if you're just following your heart, following your passion, following that which inspires you, the synchronicities will still come plenty in your direction. And even I love the idea, and that's where I want to be able to travel someday and travel the world on the wind of the universe with an understanding of synchronicity, and go to other countries and be able to trust in the process and to be able to experience the synchronicities. Another thing I was just going to say real quick was the idea that synchronicities happen through the internet as well. They happen through our social media and our social networking, and that's part of the reason why I'm so adamant about people continuing to use Paradigm Shift as a show, to be able to share it in groups, because you never know synchronistically who might see it, who will just be like, whoa, this is really cool. This is a conscious community, unlike many of the ones out there, and then they get involved, and then one thing leads to another. Again, chain of events. Just so much. I love synchronicity is what I consider. If synchronicity didn't exist, none of this would work in some way. So it is there. It is the everythingness. Now, Harmony, was there any last thing you just want to share while we have you on the air?
Mainly that it's all about frequency. And, Tesla says that, and many people understand that frequency is the key. And I think it's a verification when we're in that frequency and when we're in the awareness, the higher frequencies of compassion and unconditional love, that it just flows and we're not trying, and that's when the synchronicities just fall into place. So,
yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, I know myself and my beloved Sunday, we were talking, we were like, oh, should we share our story of our synchronicity of how we met? But I want to be fair to the other callers. Oh, Harmony, I'm going to mute your mic because that buzzing noise came back. Oh, it's coming. Harmony, thanks for being on thanks for being on the show. I'm just going to mute you for now. We'll bring you back on at the end. Feel free to hang up if you're whatever works for you, but I'm just going to mute you either way. So really appreciate hearing from you. And I know you've got a lot more stories to share about even the synchronicities that you do with the free hugs and everything. So really appreciate it. Awesome. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Blessings.
Thanks again. Love you.
Thank you.
I was just me and Sunday were just going to share that story real quick, but I don't think that's really fair to the other callers unless you think we can share like a 30-second version of it. Is that?
I think we should.
A 30-second version of it? All right, what did it look like from your perspective then? I'm really curious.
Just making sure we're talking about how we met, right?
Yeah.
It was actually a big day, my first protest, which was really cool. It was a march against Monsanto. I was there with my friend. Felt like a good day. We were really taking a chance and putting ourselves out there. And throughout the protest, I saw this guy. I don't know why I noticed. I think it was your hat. I noticed his hat and his video camera.
And a skateboard.
And I actually didn't notice the skateboard. That wasn't... But later, he came up, sat down. We had a really good discussion. And so that was the day I met you. But then I think it was like four months later that we hadn't been talking for a while. And then out of all places, we ran into each other in the parking lot of a grocery store. And
it was funny though.
And from there we kind of sparked back up again. And so
because I'm like going into the parking lot and I'm like putting my groceries into the car and I turn around and parallel to my car, like 3 rows over, I'm like, is that Sunday? Like, that's not a real name, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's her, but she might think that I don't see her yet. And then it was just like this like semi awkward moment where it's just
I actually tried to hide.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that's her. So anyways, we chatted with her. But I was just gonna say, the synchronicity from my perspective when we first met. So yeah, we just happened to be at the rally on the same day. But the whole thing that like when I was filming, I was filming and then I could like consciously like see like her like in the crowd of people. I was just like, like she looks not like everyone else. She sort of like stood out from my perspective, and I'm just like, yeah, I really want to talk to her just at some point. And then the rally sort of wrapped up, and she sort of like just disappeared into the crowd. And then I was just like, oh, okay, whatever, you know. I didn't really think too much of it at the time. And then I went and there was a drum circle going on, and then I was taking part in the drum circle. And then at one point I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna get up and like go walk around the park, and just I was kind of on my way. I was about to leave, and then this is kind of the funny part is that as I was walking, there was like a gaggle of geese or a gaggle of duck.
Yeah, it was duck.
And there was this one white duck, and I followed the white duck, and it like led me to where her and her friend were like sitting down. So it was like, for me, it was like, you know, like straight out of the Matrix, like follow the rabbit sort of thing, but it was like follow the white duck. And then I just like, if I didn't follow the duck, I wouldn't have seen her sitting under the tree. And then once I saw her under the tree, I was just like, oh, cool. And then I just kind of went over and just started up a conversation kind of thing. And then several events later, here we are now, helping co-create a Paradigm Shift Radio episode and doing all sorts of other awesome stuff to be able to just like continually grow together for the sake of everyone, and teamwork is really a cool thing. So I could tell you how much I really care about her, but we'll save that for another episode or whatever. I don't want to embarrass her live on global radio.
That's not possible.
All right, there you go. So I'm gonna bring on another caller from area code 487, and I do have AJ and Nate are still. I just sort of muted you guys. There was sort of a bit of static. I sort of lost track as to which ones were which, though, to be honest. But we're gonna bring on a caller from area code 847. We're gonna give them a chance to share, and then I think that we may be able to bring on Tony after that. But I think that after that, it's all the callers we've had on. So in the queue. So caller from area code 847, we're going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello,
Hi.
Caller. Hi, caller.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Do I know who this is?
I think so.
Go ahead.
Can you guess? Okay.
Oh, well, I was going to say Kristen, but I didn't recognize the phone number.
I think I know who it is.
No, it's not. That's what I mean.
I don't think so. Sunday, this is the first time I would have met you, but it's nice to meet you. But this is Monica from Chicago, Illinois.
Is this Monica? Monica, it's been so long. That's
I
why.
know, right?
Like, it's just been so long.
I know, it really has been. And I was good.
Okay.
I was so excited because Gianna was on the episode too, and I was like, oh, it's been a minute. But it was just so nice listening to everybody talking right now. I'm kind of like sidetracked, but I guess I'll just really share a quick synchronistic story that's been happening to me recently. It has, like, for most of my life, synchronistic encounters have happened to me through books in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like I get communicated to through books, and recently since we were talking about Carl Jung, there's this lady, her name is June Singer, and she kind of writes on the female perspective of Carl Jung's teachings, and it was weird. I was having a conversation with friends, and normally I like to get into, the esoteric with friends who normally don't go there, and I was explaining my thoughts to them, and I noticed myself saying, like, oh, I like to think that this occurs, right? And I noticed myself saying that, and I was like, that's weird. I wonder what that says about me, why I say that in a certain way. And then I'm reading June Singer's book, and in one of her footnotes, she starts saying, I like to think that. And I was just like, whoa! And it was just like nuts to me that like just came up to me. But that's the short story that I wanted to share.
That's actually that totally reminds me of so many other synchronistic moments that I have, those common moments. This is an example that people will notice if they happen to be, maybe they have the radio on in the background or the TV, and someone's talking to them and someone says something as they like read it wherever they are. Like sometimes it happens if you're just browsing the internet or something like that, and literally like words in a song will be like, or something will come through to you audio-wise as you're reading the exact same thing. I'm just like, God dang it, like it's so obvious sometimes. I'm just like, synchronicity like slaps you in the face with a wet fish sometimes,
Okay,
like in a good way.
I have to share this really fast too, because this happened 2 days ago, and we were in a car, and there's this random song going on, and it's something like, oh, as time goes by, something, and I look over, and there's a bar on the street, and it's named As Time Goes By, and I was just like, what is this? Like, it was just nuts. Like, how often do you come across a bar that's called As Time Goes By, and just like clear font? It was just weird. So that's synchronicity for you,
Totally. Like exactly. When you're driving along the road, definitely pay attention to like signs of things and towns that you happen to be going past, and sometimes it will like tell you a story if you can sort of like see the symbols within it. It's really interesting. I love doing that. All right, so we only got 6 minutes left in the show, and I want to be able to mention who the winner is for this week's Synchronistic Shift Button draw. And again, that's another way of synchronicity. And synchronicity works through the tarot cards as well. The tarot cards are an example of synchronicity in action. It's the universe's chance to communicate directly through you, in this case through an option of like 52 cards, and through the symbols of those cards. So it's like an active moment of using synchronicity to communicate with the higher aspects of our awareness of ourselves, sort of thing. Now, I'm just gonna, Monica, was there anything else you want to mention?
I don't know if I can like sum stuff up really fast, because no, not really. Okay. But the Carl Jung quote that Sunday mentioned earlier, synchronicity is ever present. It is within everything. So it's not just the numbers. It's like your whole entire reality. You have to observe all of it. Pay attention to everything. That's
totally. Totally. Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool that we found a word to explain the nature of reality when it's communicating back onto itself. Like that, again, that's just our word, but it's something that's happening all the time. And one thing I would be interested to study would be like the synchronicity within like the animal kingdom and nature and things like that, and how it ensures like the survival of certain species and their prolonged existence. And, just all sorts of amazing stuff. So yeah. All right, so I'm gonna just announce the winners for this week's draw for the shift buttons. And again, you can order yours at any time through the main website at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons. These are tools for you to use for synchronicity purposes, to have fun, and they're super effective, and simply by having them on you, the universe will create opportunity for you to share them, if that is your intent, of course. So this week's winner for the shift buttons is actually a good friend, Indiana Jones, our good friend Indy. I know she's been listening to Paradigm Shift Radio for a while, so I'm excited to be able to get those over to her, and she's going to be able to use those very effectively. And of course, reminding everyone, if you want to be able to support the show, if you've been listening to Paradigm Shift Radio for a while, if you're one of our avid listeners, and it has in some way helped assist you on your path that you feel, if you find value in it, if you've created a ritual and it adds something to you and you want to be able to share something back, one of the ways that you can do that is by syncing up as a regular monthly supporter at paradigmcentral.com/donate for only a few dollars a month, and that way so you don't have to break your bank. But evidently, if a bunch of people sign up like this, it supports the project indefinitely, and this also supports the production of future Paradigm Shift radios, and I'm always working on Paradigm Shifty stuff 24/7 hours a day pretty much. and also the ongoing production of the new Journey to Lucidity 2 Tree of Dreams movie, which I'm still in post-production for. So that's just one of the free conscious medias that we are getting out there. So again, you can do that, and also if you want to, one of the ways you can support is through the buttons, and also by ordering with your last chance, only a couple days left at the time of this recording, the Open Your Heart pink and black t-shirts at teespring.com/openyourheart. You can find all the links for that in the show notes for this Blog Talk Radio episode. So that's pretty much all I just wanted to say, and we're just going to bring on the last few callers just see if anybody wants to add anything. And thank you so much for listening. So I got AJ and Nate and Harmony and Monica all on. Does anybody else want to jump in who feels like they want to say one last thing? Was that Monica's sister?
No, but it sounded like a kid.
That's my son.
Yeah, it's Harmony's
what did he have to say?
He wants to draw on the box.
Draw on the box, boys
Draw
and girls.
on the box.
Draw outside the box.
I just wanted to say that this was an amazing show, and
yes.
I'm glad to be able to hear everybody's input. And it definitely was a good thing. I mean, every show is great. There really hasn't been a bad show. So it's always good to get with everybody and talk about this. I look to this weekly, so this is definitely a blessing. So you guys, please support Cole and what he's doing, because it's definitely important.
It's just one way in which we're all doing awesome things, and I'm just happy to be able to bring people together here and to connect through the magic of synchronicity. So we only got 90 seconds left in the episode, so again, just thanking so much everyone who's tuned in. If you enjoy this episode, please continue to share it. You can listen to it again through this exact same link. Subscribe to youtube.com/skullbabylon. You can find us on facebook.com/paradigmshift.radio, paradigmshiftcentral.com, and I'm gonna switch over and we're gonna start playing the outro music, and we're actually gonna bring on our friend Andy for the last 30 seconds, but we got the live chat, the after party hangout happening in the Google, and I'm gonna bring on Andy. Andy, I think this is Andy. Andy, you got like 15 seconds. Any message out there? And I apologize. I think he's there. Andy, any last?
I'm still here.
Andy, quick message. You got here. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Tell the world what they need to hear.
The message for you guys is that if you really want to do synchronicity, you have to do it yourself. Please make it strong, make it fast, and make it matter.
All right.
That's all I'm
going
to tell you.
That's good. All right, everybody here, join me in saying farewell to the internet. So, goodbye, internet. Thanks
Bye,
internet.
Namaste. Bye, wonderful people.
We love you.
Until next time.
All right, see you in the future. All right, thanks, guys. One love.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you would like to connect with people where you are and continue the conversations further, then check out paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons to order your supply of shift buttons to share with people to help invite them to this global project, while also helping make new friends and building local community where you are. Shift buttons are tools to hack the matrix and tap into the synchronistic nature of reality to accelerate our collective awakening. Enter the promo code PSR into your order to receive additional bonus buttons to your supply. Thank you again, and one love.